立法會主席。
The President. Address. The Honorable Abraham SHEK will address the Council on the Public Accounts Committee Report number 69A. The Honorable Abraham SHEK.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Public Accounts Committee, I have the honor to table our report number 69, which contains our conclusions and recommendations on Chapter 1 of the Directors of Audit Report number 69 on administration of lump sum grants by the Social Welfare Department. Social Welfare Department provides subventions to the non-government organizations for the provision of welfare services in Hong Kong. Starting from 2001, a lump sum grant, hereby known as LSG, subvention system, lump sum grant subvention system, was rolled out with a view to allowing NGO management autonomy and flexibility in the deployment of subvention resources. In 2016 to 2017, 12.5 billion of lump sum grant subventions were allocated to 165 NGOs. The committee wishes to affirm the indispensable role of NGOs in providing a wide range of services to meet the divergent needs of different social strata in Hong Kong. Given substantial public resources involved and the importance of NGOs' work to Hong Kong, the committee stresses that there should be a proper and transparent accountability mechanism for Social Welfare Department and the public to monitor LSG subvention from a value for money perspective. In this chapter, Audit Commission has reviewed some incidents in which NGOs have not complied with guidelines issued by WSD, including the LSG manual and the relevant financial circulars, as well as the performance outcomes and standards stipulated in the Funding and Service Agreement, hereby known as FSA, signed between NGO and SWD. The committee expresses grave concern and dissatisfaction about SWD's failure to effectively monitor NGO service delivery and strongly urge SWD to closely monitor NGO with persistent underperformance and devise with them appropriate follow-up measures. The committee expresses concern about the persistent lump sum grant operating deficits incurred by some NGO. The committee considers the persistent lump sum grant deficit coupled with the depleted LSG reserve of an NGO might serve as a reminder for SWD to take a more proactive role and be alert to NGO possible financial viability issues. SWD is urged to ensure that the provision of quality services would not be affected by the NGO LSG deficits. The committee expresses dissatisfaction about the inadequacies of Social Welfare Department and the Labour and Welfare Bureau, the Policy Bureau of SWD, in implementing the disclosure requirements, which are aimed at enhancing NGO transparency and accountability to the public. In 2003, the Director of Administration issued a memorandum promulgating a set of guidelines for the control and monitoring of remuneration practices in subventive bodies. The guideline requires a subventive body to review and disclose annually in a review report the remunerations of its top 3-tier staff unless it meets certain exemption criteria. However, the Social Welfare Department only implemented these requirements from 2009 to 2010, a delay of some 6 years. The committee also expresses grave concern about the Social Welfare Department lax attitude and the serious delay in seeking clarification with the Administration Wing and the Financial Services and Treasury Bureau on the calculation of the 50% income threshold, one of the exemption criteria. SWD's calculation of the 50% income threshold deviated from the intent of the memorandum, which resulted in fewer NGO required to disclose their senior staff emulations. The committee expresses concern that some NGO have not apportioned the head office overheads between the FSA and the non-FSA activities, or use an appropriate basis for the apportionment. The committee considered that while it is important for the NGO to follow guidelines on the use of the lump sum grant subventions, SWD should enhance in communication with those NGO which have encountered genuine difficulties in apportioning process and offer advice to them in timely manner, taking into account actual circumstances of individual NGOs. pointing out that people are the most valuable assets of NGOs. In providing quality service, the committee expresses grave concern and dissatisfaction about social welfare's slow and inadequate actions to tackle the problem of high turnover of social work personnel in Hong Kong. Social Welfare Department is strongly urged to take a more proactive lead to address the problem of staff turnover. As the administration has formed a task force to review the enhancement of the lump sum grant subvention system, the committee recommends the task force to take into consideration a host of issues, such as engaging different stakeholders, including frontline staff, in taking forward the review. The report has touched upon issues relating to governance and management of NGOs and the management of conflicts of interest by the LSG Independent Complaints Handling Committee. Details of the committee's conclusion and recommendations are set in the report, composing of about 97 paragraphs. Lastly, I wish to record my appreciation of the contribution made by members of the committee, particularly the lead member, Mr. Lam. Our gratitude also goes to the witnesses who attended the hearings held by the committee. I would like to express our gratitude to the Director of Audit and his colleagues for their unfailing support. And lastly, but not the least, to our Secretary for their hard work. Thank you, Mr. President.
政府法案首讀。
Government Bills First Reading. Inland Revenue Amendment Number 3 Bill 2018.